So, like I mentioned, one of my learning or teaching objectives is to build on your understanding of the topic of exercise physiology, one of our core, subdisciplines in exercise sciences. So, exercise physiology is looking at those physiologic adaptations and responses to exercise, both in the short term or acute and in the long term. So, this course, ENS 332, combined with ENS 333, is a pair of courses that are aimed at pathophysiology and exercise programming, not for your healthy people, but for your sick populations. And so part of this course, you're learning about the mechanisms of disease. So for instance, in the picture, it's showing coronary heart disease. You would learn about the process of atherosclerosis, which is the hardening and the narrowing of arteries. And you would learn about what happens during that process. Maybe high blood cholesterol sticks to the arteries, that is oxidized, causes arterial damage, that causes inflammation, that causes further oxidation, and there's just this big cascade of events that lead to plaque buildup. And that plaque buildup or atherosclerosis would be described in great detail. And then you would go into talking about some of the contraindications of exercise if you have that particular cardiovascular condition. You would also learn in this class about the legal implications for exercise. So making sure that we're very careful and cognizant about our, ethical responsibilities and obligations to prescribing exercise. You'll also learn in this class about health risk assessment. Sometimes this is termed exercise testing. And you'll also learn about exercise prescription. So I call it the Bible of pathophysiology and diseased population programming, but the ACSM's guideline for exercise testing and prescription, this was the required text when I took the class. I'm not sure if they're still making students actually buy it and read it, but this is what we read when I took this course. And it teaches you about how to assess someone's risk. So for instance, you could give them a cardiovascular stress test and you'd be able to collect some information while they're taking that stress test. For instance, again, building on Emphases, looking at their responses, heart rate response, blood pressure responses, respiratory responses. We'd be able to look at those responses and give them an indication of if they're at risk or not. Maybe you can diagnose them with a disease if they're not having those normal physiological responses that we expect. So you do exercise testing, and then based on what you find from your testing, you're able to prescribe exercise. So for instance, maybe that's no exercise that's unsupervised, or maybe you prescribe supervised exercise, or maybe you prescribe a certain intensity and, which is not to be exceeded because of the dangers or health risks that you found in your testing. So that's basically the essence of this class, how the diseases are onset, what are the legal implications about prescribing exercises to people with diseases, how to diagnose those diseases through exercise testing, and then how to prescribe exercise for people with diseases. Then you'll learn about all sorts of diseases like cardiovascular disease, like I mentioned, also cancer, diabetes, etc. So those are all of the courses that we call the super core. So those are the classes that are, basic general subdisciplines in exercise science that all of your programs include, touch on, or, in some way envelop. Now we're excluding the athletic training students and looking at the subdisciplines or coursework that would just be included for the kinesiology students. And so of course this includes kinesiology pre-physical therapy and also kinesiology fitness specialist students. So these students get extra courses in adaptive exercise, in psychosocial aspects of disease and injury, and in health communications. So taking a look at the first one, this class is called ENS 388. And in this class, you're going to learn all about adaptive exercise, only you're going to actually get a hands-on practice at it. So you'll have real clients from the community. So this is really a for-profit. Well, it's actually probably a nonprofit, but they charge clients in the community real money to come in at a reduced fee and train in an adaptive way because they have some kind of physical limitation or disability. So you'll learn about different diseases and disabilities. So kinds that you're born with, or congenital diseases, or kind that you acquire because of some injury or some kind of accident. So you'll learn about the different disabilities that people have in the clinic. And then you'll learn about different ways that we support our clients and how we set goals with our clients that are SMART, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, which is what the SMART acronym stands for. So you'll learn about appropriate goal setting, supporting your clients, and types of diseases and disabilities. There's also a link that to the video that's posted in your notes pages. I would love you to watch it. It's a short little video about our fitness clinic, and it's got some of our clients discussing about what an impact the clinic's had on their ability to stay healthy and fit. And again, you guys, we're talking about adaptive fitness. So, we're not talking now about the Spartan racer bodybuilder. We're talking about the person being as fit as they can be with their physical limitation or disability. So we're adapting the exercises still for fitness. It's still not rehabilitation. It's fitness for people with disabilities. You're also going to take a course if you're in the kinesiology programs on the psychosocial, our reactions. So if you take a superstar athlete and they get hurt, what are the psychosocial cascade of things that happen to them? What are some of the triggers and what are some of the impulses and things that they experience? Again, you'll learn about different disabilities and impairments, things that take athletes out of their game or take people who are habitually active out of the game. You'll also learn about different theories and adjustment models for how people adjust and about intervention strategies. So lots of research here looking at how to best help people cope when they've had an accident or an injury and it impedes on their ability to do their sport. So this is probably our most behavioral class in the program, and it's taught by a really neat guy named Dr. Tinley. And I would give you a sample question from a test of his, but I think I'll wait for the live setting to do that. Everybody in the kinesiology program will also take a health comm class. And so this course will help you guys basically engage in solving health problems and also look at some of the ways that we take what we find in solving problems and then disseminate that information to the public. So you'll learn about communications, right? How we provide clients and patients information, different modes of communication. And then also you'll learn about big public health campaigns. So things that we see, like, for instance, Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign. And if we were talking about nutrition here, we would be looking at maybe, let's say, the My Plate food guide. But big things with public health that they do to enhance the health status of the population. So you'll not only learn about some of those programs that are currently in existence, but how to conceptualize those programs, how to critique those programs, and then probably most importantly, how to develop programs like that. And I think that, we've already kind of introduced how you would start. You would look at what risks we have. You would look at what problems we have, and then you would look at some of the national objectives, and then you can design programs and ideas and campaigns around closing the gap and making us healthier as a nation. So those are the basic classes that are covered in both the Exercise Nutrition Sciences core, meaning the ones that we all take, and also Exercise Science core, so all the exercise programs take, and then also the ones that just the kinesiology students take, which is excluding athletic training. So in the next online portion for this week, you'll be learning about distinguished emphases. So now we're looking at, instead of what we all have in common, what makes the athletic training program different from the pre-physical therapy program, different from the fitness specialist program. So that's what we'll cover in the next section. Thank you.